Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Inside Artesian Basketball here on WREP 15 Sports. I'm your host, Eric Meyer, joined as always by Artesian head coach Kip Staggs. Martinsville, two big wins over this past weekend. A big one in Mid-State Conference play on Friday night over the Franklin Grizzly Cubs. They come back on Saturday, still in the friendly confines of the John R. Wooden Gym, and get the Indianapolis Metropolitan Pumas in a win as well. Coach, let's go back first to the game on Friday night against Franklin. And this is, a lot of really backstory, a lot of headlines or stories, if you will, coming into this. Obviously, Martinsville and Franklin, if people have followed basketball, those are two very tradition-rich programs throughout the year. South Central Conference and so forth go on back. But for this year's ball club, this team, Reed, Tyler, played with a lot of these kids back in junior high. They're familiar with them. Some of the other kids on the team know some of these kids. So there were some storylines going in, made for an interesting game on Friday night. And boy, did you guys step up to the challenge.
Well, there are some friendships there between the two teams, and there are definitely some good relationships from both sides of it, and some of the families even have some good relationships as well. So there are some storylines, there are some things there, but as I told our guys before the game, I said, you may have friends in the other locker room, and that's fine, but we are family. And we went out with a very good approach on Friday. I thought our mental approach was probably as good as it's been all year, and we just found a way to play a pretty good, solid 32 minutes.
For you guys, as you look back on it, would you say one of your better performances of the season that you guys have put in thus far, or how do you characterize it?
I think so. We had four people in double figures, so we shared the ball. We had 2 at 13, 1 at 12, and 1 at 10. And so whenever you have that kind of balance, it makes it hard for the other team to guard you. But I thought defensively we did a really good job. I thought we paid close attention to the scouting report. We knew what some tendencies were of the other team, and we were able to eliminate a few things throughout the contest. So, they got in their flex offense there a couple times, and we were able to switch some things and, slowed them down. We knew certain guys could, only do certain things like shoot the three, so we got out on them. So I just think overall it was as good as it was physically. I think mentally it was probably one of our stronger games.
As you look at it mentally and physically, you guys get out of the gate really quick. You jump out to a good lead. You talked about the start that you had, but really this was a game kind of runs, and you guys got out to a run. They kind of ran back at you at one point, and then you guys kind of ran again. They came back at you again. You guys responded. So back and forth you went. You guys always seemed to have an answer for something that they did in the game on Friday.
It was really a good high school basketball game. I mean, both teams made shots. Both teams made some stops when they needed to. Both teams had runs, as you mentioned. And so overall, I think it was just a good, well-played game by both teams. And, there was probably some possessions that they look at and said they should have done this. But, we have some possessions that we feel the same way that we should have done better. And, we hit our free throws down the stretch that kept us in the lead. So there was a lot of little things that went into the game. And I thought we executed on out-of-bounds plays. We got a couple buckets that way. So just overall, it was just a well-played game by us.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from the win over Franklin on Friday night at the John R. Wooden Gym.
Well, here you see a little pick-the-picker action, and we're able to get Reed loose in the paint, and he knocks that little 14, 15-foot jump shot down. And here we go. We're looking inside to Tyler, and Tyler was really good. Got to the basket there, and throwing the ball in the post has been something we've struggled with a little bit at times. Here's a little high post flash by Jackson, and he's able to knock it down the little short jump shot. And this really gets us going. Here's Reed driving in. Here's that extra pass from Jackson to Luke. And again, we really do a good job of sharing the ball. Here's a nice drive by Tyler. He's able to stay with it, put it back in. And so as you see, we've held control of the game here pretty much. And then here's a nice reversal from Luke to Reed, and he takes the baseline drive. Here's a kick out. I think that's Blake there that's able to knock that down. So there's Luke on a shot there on the left wing. So we push the ball. We look for transition baskets. Here's a nice drive by Jackson using his left hand, getting in the paint. Here we are staying with the ball, staying with the rebound. And Luke's really good in the open court. He's really good when he can just play a little bit, so we're trying to put him in some situations where that's the case. Here's a little trap at half court that we're able to get the ball out of the trap, and then Tyler is found down in the corner and knocks a three down. And our first half was really good. We scored 30-some points, and here we go on a little chin cut. Reed gets loose. I was able to put it in. Here Tyler's finds Reed on the baseline, and we're able to keep that 5-6 point lead, and then they cut it down and kind of goes back and forth. Here's a nice play by Jonathan, who comes in on offensive rebound and puts it back in. But our guys really played hard. I thought we played with a lot of purpose. We mentally were focused in the game, offensively and defensively. As you see here, we're up 4, then we're up 6, and then here's Jonathan with a nice hustle play, misses a 3, but then he runs down his rebound and is able to put it back in. And the one thing that we've got to do a little bit better job of, here's a 3 by Reed, it's kicked out by Luke. But one thing we've got to be able to do is take this 11-point lead and then just kind of seal it. Maybe put it in a deep freeze, if you will. And we kind of let them back in. And Andy's a nice drive there. And we're up 11, 13. But then, they're able to close the gap. There's a nice move by Tyler in the post. You see the scores back to 4 or 5 points and, keeping it interesting. Jonathan with a nice little drive and a pull up there in the paint. So you see we're getting the ball in the paint quite a bit. You see here's a nice steal by Reed. He's going to give it up here to Luke, who lays it in. And that puts us up 7. We make a few free throws from here on out. There's a nice cut by Jackson. Tyler finds him on the cut. And they really started pressing us there late, and that opened up that lane for Jackson to get open. And like I said, Jonathan hit a couple free throws. Reed hit a couple free throws to keep the distance. So, we did a really good job overall. It was a good game. It was a fun game. Our guys were excited about the result.
Lost art of the mid-range game, if you will. That's something that you see anymore. A lot of teams that get to the rim or shoot the 3. You saw several instances there where you got the guy at about the 14, 15 foot mark around the free throw line from the elbow there and able to knock those shots down.
Yeah, that's something we work on and something we spend some time with. And when we get into shooting drills, we always start at, before every practice, we start with rim flips. We get right in front of the rim and we put 25 or 50 of them in, depending on the day. And then in our shooting drills, we always start them in 12 to 15 feet, and then we move them out. And some days we even tell them, hey, you got to make 4 in these next 30 seconds before you got to shoot the 3. So, we put some parameters on them so that we are working on our game, we're working on form, we're working on routine, and so that you step out and hit that 3, it's a little bit easier.
You mentioned the fact it was the third quarter of play. You guys got up, I believe, by 13. Franklin, to their credit, came out there in the fourth quarter of play and really cut into that lead. As you saw, was down to 3 points, I think, within the first maybe couple of minutes of the quarter. But again, credit to you guys. You kind of righted the ship there, took that little run that they had, and were able to then eventually just ease away from it at the end.
Yeah, we didn't panic. I don't think we weren't uncomfortable at any time. They hit a couple threes there, as you mentioned, and closed the gap. We just didn't answer on the other end. That's where we've got to learn a little bit that, okay, they've answered, now we got to go back and answer, or we got to get a stop the next time. We can't let them score 2 or 3 times in a row, and that's what happened during that sequence. So, but it's good. It was good to be in that position. Just really, really pleased with our effort mentally and physically, as we've talked about before. And Andy, you saw Andy come in there, and he gave us good minutes there in the second half. And I thought Reed was really good with the ball out front. Tyler was strong inside. Jonathan was athletic and got to the post and to the paint a couple times. Luke and Blake were able to knock some threes down. So we had contributions from a little bit of everybody. Jackson takes a big charge when they're making a run in the open court, which slows them down. So, we had a lot of contributions from different guys, and, it really puts us back in the hunt for the conference. That gives us 2 wins and 2 losses. Plainfield sets atop with 1 loss. We need a little help right now. Plainfield still has Greenwood and Franklin to play. So if we were fortunate enough, one of those 2 teams knocks off Plainfield and we went out, then we're going to be right in the hunt for the conference title. So, we kind of took ourselves out of it early with Greenwood, then the loss with Decatur, but we've kind of found ourselves back in the mix again. And so we have a lot to play for here in those conference games as we finish up February.
A couple of conference games coming up towards the end of the month, like Coach talked about. Let's move ahead to what happened on Saturday night. Indianapolis Met comes to town, and this is a game, again, kind of tight at times. You pulled away from them. They kind of made a little bit of a run at you guys, and then you guys just kind of ran away at the end of the game and picked up a good victory over the Pumas.
Well, the end of our third quarter, into the fourth quarter, was just like, wow, what just happened? I mean, we shot the ball really well. We defended, we rebounded, we limited them to one shot, and we just played well together, and we shot well. The first quarter, we jumped out 14-2, and we're kind of cruising along there. We give up an offensive rebound, and they hit a three to end the quarter. We made it 14-5. But then we found a pretty good balance in the second quarter. We played within ourselves, found ourselves ahead 29-18 at the halftime break. And as you mentioned, they made a little run at us to start the third. We didn't panic. We just kind of hung in there, got a few shots to go. And then we started dealing with some heavy legs a little bit there in the third and fourth quarter. But I didn't think it bothered us too much. I thought it was, we played through it pretty well. I thought Jackson was really good. I thought he led us with 3 charges he took. He had 18 points, he hit 2 big threes and a short baseline jumper there in the third and the fourth quarter. Really kept us going, kept us moving forward. Thought he played probably as good a game as he's played all year. Starting
to come around here into the season, rounding into form what you guys are hoping to have, and even more so as you head towards the tournament time.
Absolutely. Luke went through a little bit of a slump there around Christmas, but I think he's found his step again. Jonathan's continued to just get better and better as the course of the years wore on. Tyler's gotten healthier, and he's starting to find his touch around the perimeter. As we talked about Jackson did some great things over the weekend, but it doesn't really surprise me about Jackson because he comes to work every day, and he's a vocal guy, and he's really turned into a pretty good leader for us. And, it was good to see Blake to get a couple shots to go down. He struggled a little bit, and most of that's just confidence on his part. His form's good. He elevates well. Just a matter of putting the ball in the basket. So, we get some guys starting to play where we hope that they can maintain it and even elevate it a little bit as we move into the tournament. We are in that last third of the season. We got 7 games to go, and it's now a good time to start finding your legs, finding your shot, finding the routine. And I think right now I'm pretty pleased with where we're at.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from the Indianapolis Metro game against the Pumas on Saturday here in the John R. Wooden Gym.
You see John push the ball up the floor, and he finds Luke on that left wing, and he knocks it down. And we did a really good job during this stretch, really efficient on the offensive end. Here's Reed with a baseline drive with over a long-armed 6'7" player, and he's able to knock it down. There's a nice steal by Tyler, and Luke with the pull-up jump shot. Then there you see again, Luke's pretty good there in the open court with those little pull-up jumpers. There's a nice post feed by Luke into Tyler, and he's able to put it in. There's Jackson on out-of-bounds play. He steps in, and he gets it, and he kicks it out to Tyler for a good 3. Here's a loose ball, and Blake's able to pick it up and stay with it. You see we're getting that 2-2-1. Really didn't cause a lot of problem, but it just kind of slows people down. Here's a nice extra pass and finds Blake on that left wing to knock it down. You see our leads at 10 or 11. There's Blake with a nice drive. They've got to respect the drive, but they can't play off too much because you got a guy can make a 3 there. Here's a nice steal by John. He's able to fight through the contact, but we're there to clean it up on the backside. That's why you want to stay with the dribble. There's Jonathan after our little flex cut and a down screen. He's able to knock that little short jump shot down. Here's an extra pass. Jackson, as we mentioned before, hit a couple big 3s during this stretch. That was one of them. Here's the second one he's able to knock down on a reversal pass. And you notice that he's under control. He's in pretty good place. Here's a Reed kicking out to Tyler for a 3. And, from this point forward, we just really shot the ball well. There's a nice pass by Andy to Blake, and Blake's able to finish in traffic. And we control the tempo here a little bit. Nice pull up by John. And, at the other end, we set in that zone, and they really struggled to put the ball in the basket. And right here, we talked about let's get the ball in the paint. Let's make sure we make the extra passes. You see Tyler passing off to Luke. And but it all was created by the ball getting in the paint. There's an extra pass by Jonathan, finds Jackson on the baseline. And as we wound out the end of the game, there's Chase Havlin getting a few minutes in there and putting in a nice little hook shot to help us finish up the game.
See there, a little bit of a reverse layup. You get the big win, so back-to-back wins get you, heading, like we said, in the right direction as you head toward that last third. You're in the midst of the last third as this is quickly winding down here. You've got a game this weekend, and it'll be another one of those odd little scenarios. The fact that you're not going to play on Friday nights, accommodating the girls basketball sectional. Good luck to the girls, by the way, as they battle Greenwood over at Franklin Central. And then on Saturday, you'll play in the afternoon again, trying to accommodate the girls basketball sectional. And we hope the girls are in the championship game. It looks like they have a good shot at that as well to be able there. But so you'll play in the afternoon at a 2:30 game, something that's not really going to be that common for you guys. So it's going to be a different scenario that you're going to have to face against a Perry Meridian team that may be down a little bit this year, but you know they'll be athletic. They'll have some kids that can play.
Terre Haute North.
Terre Haute North, I'm sorry.
Yes, no worries. So Terre Haute North, they're a well-coached team. They've got typical Terre Haute. They've got a little bit of size. They've got some shooters. They've got good guard play. So it's going to be a great contest for us. You know, we've kind of struggled with this 2:30 time slot the last 2 years. We hosted them a couple years ago with Keegan and Zach and that group, and we didn't play very well that day. Last year we went over there, same scenario. We found ourselves down 25-15 at half, and then they took it to us in the second half. So, you know, it's something that we're going to have to handle. We're going to come in late morning and be ready to go. And you know, Coach Wolfley, like I said earlier, does a really good job with his guys, and they've got a little bit of experience. They played Terre Haute South last night. They fell to Terre Haute South in double digits. So I'm sure they're going to be ready to go and fired up for this game, as they always have been. So, you know, we're going to have to play well. But at the same time, we've done some good things here in the last month or so, and hopefully we just continue that.
What are some of the things that you're going to see out of the Terre Haute North Patriots then on Saturday? I mean, longtime head coach there as well. So some of the same things they normally do, some changes for some personnel. What can we expect on Saturday?
Well, against the zone, they do a really good job of sealing and screening the inside part of the zone. And that's something we haven't seen a lot of. We're going to have to be able to contend with that screen action in the post area. And so we don't get stuck behind somebody or stuck, you know, out of position. So that's one thing we're going to have to handle. They did a really good job early in the year of penetrating the zone. So we're going to have to make sure we guard our yard and make sure people don't split us. And so, you know, that's a couple things. We can pressure them a little bit. We can give them a couple different looks on a full court and a half court to kind of disrupt them. And you know, that's something we'll look at doing. But, you know, one thing that we've worked on this week in practice, and I think we've got to get better at it, is we've got to stay in a possession longer. When we get in practice, we're able to shoot, score, or have a good attempt in 2, 3, 4 passes. And what we're going to have to be able to do down the stretch and in these next several games is have a little bit more patience, maybe go to the 5 or 6 passes, just because we're going to have to stay in the offense. People are going to take away those first 2 or 3 shot opportunities that we have. And so we're going to have to be able to stay in the offensive flow, be able to move through it, and then maybe get the next good shot. Or look for the next shot, and not chase jump shots, not chase the ball, not force things, but just to stay in the flow of the offense, have a little bit of patience, keep your spacing, understand that you're not in a hurry, and then find that shot that works for us. So teams are going to start taking some of those things away from us. So that's one thing we've been working on this week a little bit.
Going to have to try to get that taken care of, like you said. Saturday, as Terre Haute North comes to town, quickly, some of the keys for you guys to come away with a win. I know we talked about some things you're going to have to do, but some of the keys that you guys will need to come away with a win on Saturday.
Well, I think first of all, as I mentioned, we're going to have to handle their screen action against our zone in the paint. We can't get split against the zone. We've got to make sure that we understand our scouting report really well. This team's not real familiar to us, so we're going to have to dial in a little bit more. They've got some guys that are back, but you know, we don't see them very often, and we don't have a lot of relationships, as you talked about with Franklin, so it's a little bit different from that standpoint. We know that they're going to play hard. We know that so we're going to have to not only match their intensity, but surpass it. And then on the offensive end, I think it's real important that we just are real efficient. We found a way here in the last few weeks that we've been consistently scoring in each quarter. And you take away the Bloomington South game, we've been able to do that for the most part. And so we've got to continue to do that as we move forward. And hopefully we can get a good crowd out here to see us play. It's a good afternoon of basketball. After watching us, you can get over to watch the girls at Franklin Central. So it should be a good day of basketball here at Martinsville High School, and we hope a lot of people can come out and watch us.
All right, Coach, as always, appreciate you joining us. We'll see you there Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Artesian head coach Kip Staggs here inside Artesian Basketball Martinsville. The one game this weekend to accommodate the girls basketball sectional. They'll play on Saturday afternoon, JV tip-off at 1 o'clock against the Terre Haute North Patriots. But Friday night, get over to Franklin Central, 7:30 about. The girls will battle Greenwood, and then hoping that Saturday night they'll be back there at Franklin Central trying to battle for a sectional championship as well. As always, though, I'd like to thank the head coach Kip Staggs for the head coach along with the advanced broadcasting class that produced it. I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Artesian Basketball.